New at noon, one person is dead and another is hurt after a shooting at the McCain Blvd McDonald's in North Little Rock. Police tell us it happened around 6:40 this morning. The two victims were in a car with a third person when someone started shooting. North Little Rock police are urging anyone with information about the incident to call them. We're learning more about a possible timeline in the case of Gabby Potito, who vanished during a cross-country trip with her fiance. A body matching Potito's description was found in Wyoming over the weekend. Authorities are still looking for her fiance, Brian Laundrie, who returned alone to his home in Florida on September 1st. Jerika Duncan has the latest on the search for answers in this disturbing case.
More than a dozen FBI agents raided the Laundrie home on Monday. They confiscated boxes of evidence, including computers, and towed away Laundrie's silver Mustang parked in the driveway. A second search warrant details the timeline of Potito's disappearance. In one notable section, it describes an odd text message on August 27th from Potito's phone to her mother, asking to help Stan. Her mother became concerned because she never referred to Stan, her grandfather, by his first name. From that point on, her phone was no longer operational, and she stopped posting on social media, something her family said was not normal behavior.
I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida license plate, white land.
About 2 weeks earlier, there was this 911 call made on August 12th.
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Police body cam video shows the immediate aftermath of that call.
We just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I needed to calm down.
Neither party wanted to file charges, and police did not. The couple the next day continued their trip to Wyoming, where the remains believed to belong to Gabby Potito were eventually found. Preliminary autopsy results are expected today that could confirm whether or not the remains found are in fact that of Gabby Potito's. The search for Brian Laundrie continues, and we will continue to work on this story with 48 Hours and have more in the coming days. Jerika Duncan, CBS News, Northport, Florida.
Turning to COVID-19 in Arkansas, Governor Asa Hutchinson is set to hold his weekly press conference to give an update on the state's response to the ongoing pandemic. Taking a look at Arkansas's numbers from yesterday, Mondays usually bring us lower numbers compared to the rest of the week. Yesterday, the state reported the lowest increase in new cases we have seen on a Monday since July 12th, 396 new cases. And right now, there are just over 15,000 active cases in the state. Meanwhile, 1,027 of those people dealing with the virus are fighting it from a hospital bed. That is up 12 from Sunday. The most troubling stat, 37 more people have died from the virus. The recent spike in daily deaths are a result of the surge in cases and hospitalizations we started to see during the summer. Now, these are all trends the governor will likely cover during his press conference today at 1:30. Remember, you can watch it live on our website, thv-at-noon.com, or on our YouTube page. The governor is also expected to address Pfizer's announcement that its vaccine is safe for kids 5 to 11. It's welcome news for many parents, but not everyone is ready to get their kids vaccinated. Michael Wilson has more on how parents here in Arkansas are reacting.
After months of waiting, Pfizer announced its COVID-19 vaccine is safe for kids ages 5 to 11. But for mom of 4, Kara Harward, she says she won't be vaccinating her kids anytime soon.
It's been done too quick for my comfort, and so my children will not have the vaccine.
But mom of 2, Jacqueline Presley, says she's ready to get her 10-year-old vaccinated, saying it's no different from any other vaccine given to children.
We are not doctors or scientists, so we're going to have to trust that we are being cared for in this way.
She's vaccinated her 12-year-old daughter earlier this year and says she's had no problems.
She was so ready to be with other kids again. We did virtual last year for her, and so she was so ready to be with the other kids again that she was thrilled to get the vaccine.
Dr. Rick Barr with Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock says if and when the Pfizer vaccine is approved by the FDA for emergency use, they plan to start offering the vaccine for that younger group.
The side effect profile from the vaccine is very, very safe in adults, kids, and I'm sure that's what the FDA is going to be looking at closely before approval.
Dr. Barr says he's seeing the impact of COVID on kids firsthand. As of Monday, Children's in Little Rock is treating 14 kids for the virus.
Some of them are just hospitalized and requiring oxygen, but some of them are in the intensive care unit and mechanically ventilated because of COVID respiratory failures.
But as for Kara, she says she and her family had COVID and built antibodies to fight the vaccine, and that's enough for now.
Michael Wilson reporting for us this afternoon. Now, something to keep in mind, Pfizer's vaccine has to get emergency approval from the FDA before kids ages 5 to 11 can receive the vaccine. As for other vaccines, Moderna is also conducting a study on its shot with younger kids. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson says its booster shot is 94% effective when administered within 2 months of the first dose, and it can produce antibodies offering 6 times more protection. Booster shots given 6 months after the first dose bring a 12-fold increase in antibodies. If J&J gets the booster green light from the FDA, more than 14.8 million Americans could get the extra dose. Flu season is right around the corner, and to make sure our state is prepared, the Arkansas Department of Health is hosting mass flu vaccination clinics across the state. That's next week. Now, Dr. Marty Sharkey says it's always important to get the flu vaccine, but with the current unknowns, it's even more important this year. The unknown she's about, well, last year's flu season, which had minimal impact.
Last year we didn't, and this is an experiment we haven't ever done before. We've never had flu practically non-existent one year, and nobody have any immunity. That's affected all of our immunity. Our herd immunity for flu is way down.
Next Monday, you can get your flu shot at one of ADH's local health units. The shot is free and no appointment is necessary. World leaders are back at the United Nations today after staying away last year due to the pandemic. One of the first speakers at the General Assembly was President Joe Biden, who is facing scrutiny for his decisions in Afghanistan. Michael George is at the UN with the latest.
Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Standing before world leaders for the first time since U.S. troops left Afghanistan, President Biden defended his decision to end the war.
For the first time in 20 years, the United States not at war. We've turned the page. All the unmatched strength, energy, and commitment, will, and resources of our nation are now fully and squarely focused on what's ahead of us.
Mr. Biden also called for intensive diplomacy to combat climate change and COVID-19.
Bombs and bullets cannot defend against COVID-19 or its future variants. To fight this pandemic, we need a collective act of science and political will.
President Biden was only here at the UN for about an hour, the White House says, due to COVID concerns. Tomorrow, he'll convene a virtual COVID-19 summit. Monday, the UN Secretary General told reporters the relationship between the U.S. and China is completely dysfunctional and warned it could lead to a new Cold War.
We are not seeking a new Cold War or a world divided into rigid blocks. The United States is ready to work with any nation that steps up and pursues peaceful resolution to shared challenges.
This is the first in-person General Assembly in 2 years because of the pandemic. More than 100 world leaders are expected to address the General Assembly from the podium. Michael George, CBS News, the United Nations.
President Biden is set to meet with the prime ministers from Australia and the UK this afternoon.